Nicole. I'm a tea writer and educator, and I'm here to help you learn more about tea. Today I wanted to talk about some of my favorite tea history books. I have shelves that are overflowing with tea books, so I've read a lot of them over the years, but these are just a few of mine that have really helped me learn more about tea history. So they're not really in any particular order, so I just grabbed some of my favorites. So we have Tea, The Drink That Changed the World by Laura C. Martin. I actually bought this book because Martin is my maiden name. So for those of you that weren't watching, years ago, my name used to be Nicole Martin, so I bought it because I just thought it was funny to find a tea book with my last name on it. This book is fairly thorough when it comes to tea history. What I really like are the appendices. At the back of the book, there's all these tables for tea growing countries. That's a bit outdated now. This book was published in the early 2000s, and since then tea has grown quite a bit, so I'm sure places like Scotland are not included in this book. There's professional terms for describing tea, teas from around the world, tea with food, best times of day for sipping different teas, just really helpful information. So that's just like a really good, solid, basic tea history book, and then some. And along those same lines, I also recommend Liquid Jade, The Story of Tea from East to West by Beatrice Hohenegger. I really like this one because it kind of focuses more on the stories in the history of tea rather than just being kind of a straight up history book. It kind of talks about some of the really fun myths and legends that exist in the canon of tea. So that's definitely a great one to check out. Next up is The Ultimate Tea Lover's Treasury by James Norwood Pratt. He is absolutely one of my favorite tea writers. If you ever have the chance to hear him speak in person, it's even better than reading his books. He's extremely poetic when it comes to talking about tea, so it's just a really fun and different approach, I find, that a lot of other people do. He goes into a lot of different things in tea history, especially like the really big events. And this has been in print for a really long time, so if you are buying it, I do recommend looking for the Ultimate Tea Lover's Treasury rather than the New Tea Lover's Treasury, because the Ultimate is the most up-to-date edition. And I was lucky enough to have him sign it for me at World Tea Expo. My next favorite is actually a fiction book. So it's the only fiction book I'm going to discuss in today's video. It's For All the Tea in China by Sarah Rose. And so what Sarah Rose did was she actually took the journals of Robert Fortune, and he was the man who kind of smuggled tea out of China and brought it to India. And that's why we have tea in India today. So his journals, obviously they were written a very long time ago. They're a bit dry to read, to be honest. I did read them myself, and they are a bit dry, where what she did was she took those journals and used them as inspiration for a historical fiction of those events. So it's really, really well done. Definitely one of my favorite tea books and a great way to learn about tea history. Last but not least, this is a new-ish book, A Social History of Tea by Jade, Pettigrew, and Bruce Richardson. So both Jane and Bruce are really respected tea writers. They both have written quite a bit about tea history, and they collaborated on this book that really goes deep into tea history. It's not necessarily the most fun read, because it does read a bit more like a history book. But there's so much information in here. I find that I'm constantly using it as a reference for blog posts that I'm writing or information that I need to look up. I also was able to get this signed by Bruce Richardson. Hopefully one day I can get it signed by Jade Pettigrew as well. But this is one that I also really recommend. It's got a ton of pictures and illustrations that you really don't find in other books. So I definitely recommend that one. Let me know in the comments if there's any tea history books that I should check out, and if there's any other tea questions that you have that you think would make a great video. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next week.